we decided last fall we would go ahead and announce the winners of 2020 and 2021 by then. And then we had to postpone the ceremony, again and again, and this evening became available here at the Challenger, and we thought, we'll get it. So that's why we're here tonight, and I'm glad you guys could come. So the last award ceremony we had in person was to honor Dr. Laura Green, who's here with us tonight. Thank you, Laura. That was a great night. So about Tallahassee Scientific Society. So we're a nonprofit with a mission to promote scientific literacy in our community. And we do that through a variety of ways. We have a formal speaker series, a Horizon speaker series, where we bring in people from all over the country, but sometimes we have local speakers, and in April we're going to have Dr. Bruce Means with us. So please join us for that. That'll be really cool. We're also out and about at different community events, Tallahassee Science Festival, the Mag Lab Open House are two, so you may have seen us there. Let's see, we also host field trips and informal science salons. And it really depends on the composition of the board, what we do and when we can do it, because you have to have a board member that has a specific interest and has the time to do it. So sometimes you're expecting a field trip soon and it doesn't come around. So we are always looking for new board members who have a little bit of time and a passion for what we're doing, and something to contribute. So if any of you guys feel like this might be a calling for you, do let me know. And another initiative we're promoting more recently is to fund opportunities for students who otherwise would not be able to attend summer science camps. So last year we donated money to 3 different organizations, the Mag Lab, Rethink Energy Florida, and Young Engineers of Tallahassee. And they have camps all summer, and they are awesome too. I mean, Tallahassee is rich in science fairs. We're really, really lucky. And it would be nice to be able to have all of the students who want to go attend something. So we're trying to do some fundraising along those lines and to be able to make a difference with that. And this past year, we were able to have a successful fundraising year. And I wanted to make a special shout out to Envision Credit Union and to Tallahassee Action Grants. They provided the funding so that we could rent Challenger for the 3 Horizons presentations and then tonight. I had never heard of Tallahassee Action Grants, but they have a really awesome thrift shop across from FCI. And so your money that's spent there goes to good use. And they sponsor a number of different initiatives in the community, but they really have some very cool stuff. So check it out sometime. So I did a little bio in the program, so please take a look. And but before we get into the presentations, before I lose them, I want to hand out the medals to our recipients. And I am going to call up Dr. Susan Blessing, who was nominated. Actually, she was nominated by me. I've known Susan for a while. Our children were in robotics together, and I followed her career a little bit, and she's been generous about her time and has spoken at various events that I've been involved with. So, on behalf of the Tallahassee Scientific Society, congratulations, Susan. Oh, it matches. Oh yeah, goes that way. Okay.
I wasn't expecting, I picked plastic off. I was expecting the actual medical.
I know. And is Carla still here? There you are.
Just like the Olympics.
See, it goes with him too.
Oh, yeah, both you guys
Very
are on
good.
board with this.
Yeah.
And so, Carlos Villas, you were nominated and you won for the 2021 year for the gold medal. So I have to say, even though she doesn't want the credit, Laura Green nominated you, and it was just very cool. But
Thank you,
you've got
Laura.
a lot of fans in town, so we're just really thrilled to have you both here. Okay, so Dr. Blessing is going to start, and let's see. I don't have my program in front of me, so I can't read my introduction. So would you introduce yourself? I know you
Okay.
went to University of Illinois for grad school.
No.
Indiana. Okay, one of those I
University
states.
graduate
Oh,
school.
thank you. All right. All right. So she went to University of Indiana.
No, Indiana University.
Oh, okay. I give up. I give up. But she did go. She did postdoc work at Northwestern. No, Northwestern. And then she joined FSU faculty in 1994, and she's full professor in the Department of Physics. And as many of you know, women are underrepresented in some of the physical sciences. So it's so awesome to have Susan promote this field in so many different ways. So anyway, thank you, Susan, and your turn.
Thank you very much. I never expected to have a gold medal. But I have to bite on it, and like they do for the Olympics, to see. Yes, okay.
That's how you tell it's gold.
Yeah, I know. It's gold colored at least. It's okay. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit about the Women in Math, Science, and Engineering program that I run at Florida State University. The seal for the program is down there. It's a little difficult to see. The lights are going down. Maybe that'll make it easier to see. Okay, so I did not start the program. Nancy Marcus, whom I'm guessing a lot of you know or knew, started the program, but I made really significant changes to it, and I'm pretty pleased with how it's ended up. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about what we do. All right, so WMSI is first a living learning community. This means that 33 first-year students live together in one wing of Cawthon Hall, along with 2 older WMSI students who serve as mentors to the first-year students, and they live in the 2 single rooms because I don't want the first-year students living in the single rooms. Cawthon Hall is one of the, well, at the time it was a relatively recently renovated hall, and now there are much newer halls. So that was one of the draws for people. They wanted to live in the fancier halls, but now they're kind of ordinary halls. We start out by going on a retreat, which I'll talk about a little bit more, and then there is a colloquium, which meets, it's a 1 credit hour class that meets both semesters of their first year at FSU. And then as students choose, and I would say maybe 2/3 of them do, to continue, they can stay involved with WMSI. It is the only living learning community that students can continue to participate with throughout their entire time as an undergraduate at Florida State. They have to keep an appropriate major, otherwise they can't be in WMSI. And then they have opportunities to participate in the research experience program, which I'll also talk about more. And they are required then to participate in social and service events. And the students have decided that to remain active in WMSI and to be able to take advantage of things, they have to attend at least 3 activities per semester, and there are lots more than that. So over here on the right, in blue, can you read it? Yes, okay. These are the things that we want them to become, to be. This will help them be better scientists and engineers. And so everything we do in the colloquium is based on trying to meet these, attributes, maybe. And then, here we go, the communicator, right? Yeah, these attributes. And it's based on a lot of research that either graduate assistants have read about and said, well, we should try this, or something that I've read about, and these things have worked, and there's evidence that they work. So we start out with a retreat, and happens at the res. There are cabins at the res with bunk beds, and so we use 2 of the cabins at the res. The graduate assistant is required to spend the night. I do not spend the night. Okay? So this happens the Friday night, so Friday afternoon and Saturday morning before classes start in August. And when it originally started, it was just like, what Nancy did was have people, they would go out and do a low ropes course. But we expanded it and made it into an overnight activity where there are icebreakers, and then the next day we move into more development. Think about what you want to do with your life. So you can see, let's see, so we have older students come. You can see the one with the whimsy t-shirt, that is Megan. So they came up with the W with their fingers, they did that themselves. So she is one. We have 4 older students come to be facilitators, and there's me and the graduate assistant. And then we tell them in advance that there will be no chairs. We tell them over and over again because they complain that there are no chairs. They're 18 years old, you know. Okay, so we play games. So the one next to it where they're leaning up against the brick wall is a game called Ships and Sailors, which is a lot of running back and forth and moving around. And the next day, we do an activity called 10-year tweets. So we print out these big posters for them to write on, and they're dated 10 years in advance of the date of the retreat. And the students are supposed to write a tweet as if they are, a professional tweet as if they're writing from a professional account 10 years in the future. We want them to start thinking about what to do. They don't have to do this, of course, right? But just to have a direction, because something I push on is if you don't have a path that you're moving down, right? If you have a path that you're moving down, you can always turn and do something else, and you won't have lost what you've learned along that first path. But if you don't have any path at all, then you're just gonna sit and go like this, right? You're just gonna spin in place, and you're not going to make any progress, and you're not gonna learn anything, and you're not going to get anywhere. So at least start with some direction. So the 10-year tweets are to start with some direction. And then the next activity is to take these color-coded Post-it notes and to think about short, medium, and long-term goals to how they get to that spot 10 years from now. So I forget which color is which on these, but there are professional goals, personal goals, and academic goals. So short term is what can I do in the next year or so to make progress? What can I do while I'm an undergraduate to make progress? And then what can I do immediately after I graduate or within a few years after I graduate to do these things, right? To start thinking about, right? Don't just take your classes, right? Taking classes is important, but taking classes is not the only thing that you need to do to be successful. Okay, so now they all have met each other in principle at some level, and they've met a few of the older students too. Okay. So then we have the colloquium. So the colloquium meets for an hour and a half every week. So these are some of the activities. So they have to have a conversation with me, and this can be terrifying because I only see them, right, an hour and a half a week. It's hard to get to know them. It's really hard with everybody wearing masks to get to know them. So they have to make an appointment and come and talk to me for half an hour. Some of them, this is totally, completely terrifying, and some of them are fine. And most of them are fine by the end of the conversation, right? We have older students come in to give them advice about what to do. We talk about solving problems, both how to approach personal problems and and class problems, and then more general, we do Fermi problems. For those of you who know, so these are estimation problems. They hate them. They're 18 years old. They think that everything should have an answer, a definite answer, that I should be able to tell them how many piano tuners there are in the city of Chicago, because that's the classic Fermi problem. And I can't, right? So we do a program called True Colors, which is based on Myers-Briggs. It divides people up into, based on their answers about what's important. It's about communication styles. We do that in early October, which is the beginning of I Hate My Roommate month. Talk about time and stress management. We have them do a group curiosity project. So we put them in groups by major, 4, sometimes 5 people, and they have to come up with a research question and see what's been done about that, and then how that could possibly be addressed. And then give a presentation, write a paper and give a presentation. We talk about career paths, what the possibilities are with a degree in STEM. We make them write a resume. We make them revise the resume. We make them write an aspirational resume or a career exploration paper. So they have to look for a job posting for something that a job they would get sometime well after they graduate, and then write a resume as if they were applying for that job in the future. Networking, they're required to talk to at least 2 possible professional mentors. They don't have to say, will you be my mentor? But they have to actually have an actual conversation with them. Also terrifying, but then they come back and they say, oh wow, that was great. She was so nice, or he was so nice, and I learned so much. We talk about professional dress and etiquette. So they don't know how to dress, right? They don't know what's appropriate to wear in a professional setting, that really jeans with holes in them and really short skirts are not a good thing to do. And we make them write reflection papers. So they start out at the beginning of the fall semester and they have to write a paper about what their goals are for the future. And then at the end of the first semester and at the end of the second semester, what whimsy activities helped them reach their goals and what progress they've made. So we also have lab visits. So in small groups, we send them to various labs. Usually the faculty member gives a tour of the lab, describes the work, the operation of equipment, the importance of the research. Sometimes it's graduate students. Sometimes the graduate students are better than faculty member because they're closer in age. And we no longer have the Antarctic Research Laboratory, but I really liked the fact that they got to wear the cold weather clothes they provided. Anyway, I thought it was cold, literally. All right, then there's the society. So this is the continuing participation. So there's a Student Activities Council, which we started. It took a while to get going, but now they basically run themselves. The graduate assistant for Whimsy, who's not necessarily a scientist, she doesn't come from a science department, so that she oversees the Student Activities Council, but there's social activities, service activities, and a membership committee. So there are some standard social things that we do. We do what we call the major social. So the major social, there we go. Not this year, of course, but in the past, we have a contest for desserts related to your major. So we've got the marine animal waffles. Under that, you can see we have little pies that say 3.1415926, etc. on them. We've got turtles. We've got, let's see, the chocolate cupcakes in the structure of chocolate, the molecule. The gummy worms, this is dirt. This is, I can't remember if this was a biologist or a civil engineer who did this one. We've also had like maps with, little cars on them made out of food and stuff. The cookies for the periodic table. And then I have to say the computer was like the most impressive thing anyone has ever made. So the keys are all cookies, the mouse is cake, the computer itself is cake. It was an astonishing thing for someone to do, yes. Yeah, okay, so back to the society. So some of the standard things are the major social, which is the desserts, and then we divide people up by majors so they can meet the older students. Pizza and board games, which takes place at my house. I invite them to my house twice a year, once each semester. The Leadership Program, which is a leadership thing, it's a national organization, and FSU has a branch of it, and it takes place, I think, in Panama City usually, or Mariana. I think it's been both places. And Whimsy sponsors students to go. And it's not about, I'm in charge kind of leadership. It's about, I have an idea, I want to get things done. How do I get people to help me get things done? We give them awards, community service, spring barbecue at my house. The Whimsy to Whimsy program is a vertical mentoring program. So students, it's optional, but student opts to participate. So she's matched with first-year students, matched with a second-year student who's already been matched with somebody who's a third, and then a fourth-year student. And many of these families work really well. Some of them fall apart, of course, but many of them work really well, and they keep in touch for years and years afterwards. They get a Whimsy blanket. This is a state participation award, and some of them continue to participate just so they get the Whimsy blanket when they graduate. And then the research experience program. So these pictures, so the top two pictures in the center, there's goat yoga here in Tallahassee, and they volunteer at the goat farm, and sometimes they're able, if there's enough space, they also do goat yoga. Let's see, the picture with me in the center, that's at one of the graduation parties that we have on and off, depending on how many people are interested. Then, so different years worth. So the one in the center, that was a recent social, you could tell by the masks, and that was a paint like Bob Ross social. And then the one on the bottom was Galentine's Day. So you can see they got dressed up and they're wearing red clothes and stuff. Okay, desserts. So the research experience program. So my primary goal with Whimsy is to encourage them to not only stay in a STEM major, but to continue their education in graduate school, right? To keep going with the education, maybe become faculty members, go out into the workforce, but at least to have research experience. So we have funding to pay them to do research. The funding from Whimsy all comes from the university. So some people have to work, so this replaces flipping burgers. You get to meet faculty. You can start the spring of your first year. And they say, well, I don't know anything. And I say, we know you don't know anything. It's okay, right? They need at least a 3.0 for their GPA because I want them to be passing their classes. I'll pay them for up to 10 hours a week. We have a research symposium, and they have to write an end of semester paper every semester that they participate. So Carol, I really like this picture because Carol sat in my office and she said, oh, I don't want to do research. And I said, why not? Oh, you just sit in a lab all day by yourself. I don't want to do research. It sounds really boring. And I'm like, oh my God, if only I could sit in a lab all day by myself. Oh my God, that sounds so cool. Wow, I never do that. I don't know, no. I think I just want to be a doctor. I don't know, I don't want to do that. She went away. She turned in an application. I asked her why. She said, well, I came to college for opportunities, and here was somebody I respected who was trying to shove one down my throat. She went to graduate school in biochemistry. Yeah, so that was great. Okay, so here are some REP things that people have done. They work in all fields, in engineering, in the sciences. We have had people who do actuarial science, since it's part of the math department. But they don't do actuarial research. We've had a couple of people work in the business school with risk management, which goes in very well with actuarial science. So let's see, the people in the center, they fed nicotine to zebra finches, and then they sacrificed them and sliced up their brains and saw what the nicotine did to the brains. The redheaded woman she's working in an ecology lab, and based on that, so that she can help this summer, the faculty member got into the academic diving course. So the blue picture is her in a pool learning how to scuba dive, and so she's going to work for him this summer. We've had people do, let's see, the person So up at the Mag Lab with Stan Tozer, up in the right-hand corner, more academic diving, an EOS chemistry lab in chemical oceanography, in one of the lower pictures, the woman in the striped sweater. Alicia is working on the compact neon solenoid experiment, which is at the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. So she's doing particle physics research. And Sam, the woman on the lower right, is collecting water. She carried a lot of water around for the fish that she grew then in, or raised, I suppose you don't grow fish, you raise fish, in a lab to study fish, and there was a membrane in between two halves of the fish tank, and something about aggression and stuff with fish. Yeah. People do all kinds of really cool things, all kinds of stuff. And then we have a research symposium. So we give presentations. No presentations this year because we're stuck in an odd room, so we only have posters. I invite you all to the posters. It's at the Alumni Center next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. So here are some people doing posters. All whimsy researchers are welcome. So my goal is you do REP research, and then you do an honors thesis at the end. So we give awards, and we invite all kinds of people. President of the university has come in the past. I don't know if he will this year, but maybe, who knows. So here are symposium pictures, people explaining what they're doing, and they're all very excited and enthusiastic, and it's great, right? It's really great. So Gianna in the upper left works at Tall Timbers now. Marissa is, below Gianna, is in graduate school at Georgia Tech in chemistry. Madeline, picture with me, below Marissa, she was going to go to graduate school and study nuclear physics, which she did, and at the very end of undergraduate, she came in and she says, I'm not gonna do that. And she got a job with a door company, Masonite, and she worked, they hire science graduates, and she worked in their IT sort of thing, and she was thrilled, and she's moved up in Masonite. It's good. I can't remember the name of the person in the center. I don't know what she's doing. Bailey is a professional engineer, lower right. I was saying right and I meant left before. Yes, we have there's also Sam in the middle of the picture is in graduate school in California. The one with the blue dots on the plot, she works for the National Weather Service. Yeah, all kinds of great things people go on to do. All right, and it's fun. So here you can see them having fun. Let's see, National Weather Service, graduate school, and biology, now works for the CDC, so from left to right, and then just finished her PhD in physics in the fall. Yeah, so what are your questions? Thank you. Laura.
That was a lot.
It was a lot, wasn't it?
Thank you.
I didn't plan to say all that, but then
No,
I just kind of got carried away.
It was,
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. So, what about, there's so many projects. How do you oversee all the projects? How do you grade all the papers? Do you grade the posters? You know, it sounds like you grade the cookies. But then, but this sounds like a Quant 2 course. And how much credit do they get? And how much effort is it to make sure that they're all learning and getting graded?
So the colloquium is a 1 credit hour class each semester. They get way more than that of my time. It's a 25% assignment for me.
Mm-hmm.
They get as much attention as, so the biggest thing that they get that they don't realize is that they get me. They get somebody paying attention to them, making suggestions, pushing them, encouraging them to do things. And lots of them, right, they're 18 years old and they think they don't need that kind of assistance, right, that they're grown-ups. Yeah, one of the really great things, so we invite students to come, graduated students to come back So we had a graduate student panel this week on Tuesday. And the woman in the picture with me over there, on the very far right-hand side, Claudia. So here, this is not Claudia's graduation picture. This is Claudia's sister's, Gabby's graduation picture. And Gabby is on the other side in the long blue skirt. So we've had two legacy members of Whimsy. And Claudia went and got a PhD, and she is now in her second year of OBGYN residency, and her goal is academic medicine to study HIV, which is what she did her dissertation on, in pregnant women. Right, so that's what she wants to do. And she talked a lot about, her interactions with me and how we eat popcorn on Friday afternoons, and right, yes, so this is a lot. To really pay attention, this is a lot. But it helps the first year students to see graduated students come back and say how valuable this was. Do this, take advantage of all these things. Because they think, oh, I'm a first year student, I don't need a resume. What's this gonna do? I don't wanna do research. Oh, how boring. Yeah, that's not. Yes.
So I'm just so jealous. I mean, I wish my undergraduate experience was something like that. It's
Yeah, me too.
So do you have any metrics like comparing 33 students who weren't in the program with the 33 students that are in the program?
So it's hard.
Right. Tell me about it.
Not a really big, I don't know if everybody heard. So he's asking if we have studies about,
Right.
Success levels and stuff, people in the program, people not in the program. There have been a few academic studies done by students at Florida State, nothing to do with us, they just decided they wanted to study us. And there is perhaps a barely significant difference. But, I mean, I think about all the successes, all the people who went off and went to graduate school, which is kind of got involved in research. And most of the people involved in some of them come in and they know they want to do research. But others, hey, I'm going to pay you to do research. You might as well, right? And so I've only had 2 really unsuccessful research experiences. One, there was definitely a conflict between the faculty member and the student. The faculty member was clearly asking too much of the student, didn't have the background knowledge for what she was being required to do. And the other one, she just wouldn't go and ask questions. The first one tried, right? It was clear she was trying, but the second one, she just wouldn't say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, or, you have to explain this better or something.
Did they apply for this program?
Yeah, so they apply for this program relative to the number of beds. The Whimsy LLC gets more applications than the others. So on the order, varies a lot, but 100 to 170 applications.
Oh, wow.
So there's a written application, and the graduate student and the graduate assistant and I make a first pass, and then the students in the membership committee interview the ones who are in our first pass to see if they think they'll be a good fit. And we don't participate in those interviews. They fill out a form, and then the graduate assistant and I go through based on what the students say. So yes, they have to apply. It doesn't cost them anything to participate except for paying for the credit hour. And most Florida State students come in with Bright Futures, which covers their tuition, or most of their tuition, depending on the level.
Susan, I have a question
Yes.
about recruitment of the faculty mentors in the research program. I mean, there's a lot of students at FSU that want to do research. Are you competing against the regular UREP?
So there's the
program?
UROP program, the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program. So Whimsy's been around a lot longer than UROP has. and I discourage students from participating in UROP. So UROP has a colloquium that I've never had any student tell me was worthwhile. Right, I've never taken it, I'm just reporting what they say. The problem I see with UROP is that faculty apply to participate, and they give a list of projects. So the students get this list of projects, and they say, well, I'm not that interested in what Dr. Jones is doing. I'm really much more interested in Dr. Smith, but going to see Dr. Smith is really scary, because Dr. Smith isn't on the list. Dr. Jones is on the list, so I'm going to go see Dr. Jones. And I have seen those relationships fail, because the student's not really interested and invested. So we talk with the students about what to do, that ideally you go knock on somebody's door, because it's hard to ignore somebody standing in your doorway saying, hey, Dr. Maddox, I'm really interested in what you're doing. I'm part of Whimsy. Can I work in your lab? Can you tell me more about it? Do you have space for me? And occasionally faculty will say, I'm full, or, well, you really need to have taken organic chemistry before you can work in my lab and be successful. You need more skills. And we tell the students, right, it's not personal, it's not about you, just go on, ask somebody else. And every student has succeeded at doing this. And like I said, only 2 students I've been doing this, God, I don't know, 15, 16 years, something like that, have had really failing experiences. Some students intentionally change, like Claudia. So she finished 3 complete projects in her time, in 3 different departments, in fact, all related to what she was interested in doing, but 3 projects. And some students go into one lab and they stay. But having the student be invested in looking for the project is important. More questions? Yes?
So what's your relationship with their undergraduate advisors?
I have no relationship with their undergraduate advisor. I do occasionally communicate with the engineering advisor, but unless they're physics majors, in which case I'm their advisor. Yeah, the advisor, we make them go, that's one of the assignments actually, go talk to your advisor.
Got it, okay.
I've always wanted to know about this program.
You should
So
just
I had
ask.
to make sure that you got this
Oh,
award.
I got the award, so that
that
I
you
would come and
tell
talk?
us about it. So
In gory detail, I'm
thank
sorry.
you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My daughter could have been a part of that.
Yes.
Could have used a little help. Okay, so now we're gonna bring down Carlos Villa, who is well known in the community. And let's see, I can read the program. So he's been associated with FSU for a very long time. He did both his undergrad and his grad degree here at FSU. And in fact, I understand you were a student of George Dawson. So that's pretty awesome.
Thanks, George.
We made good use of the time he spent with you, George. So he's gotten lots of awards for lots of things, but I think that so many of us know him from seeing him at different events, the Science Festival. What are some other things? I see you all over all the time.
All over is accurate.
Yeah, let's see, this past weekend, the weekend before, the STEAM Expo, it's like, oh, Carlos, you're here again. So it's always wonderful to see you around town and know that that table is in good hands and you're promoting what we all expect of you, and we are so appreciative of you.
Thank you.
My daughter has been involved in a number of programs at the Mag Lab and has benefited from time with you. So thank you from a personal level. All right. Thank you, Carlos.
Big file. It is a big file. I have been working on this a while because I was extremely nervous. But I tend to overthink things, so I've got a glorious 3-hour presentation for everybody.
400 slides.
If it wants to start eventually. So I'm Carlos V. I work at the National. Oh no,
Just click enable.
that's not even showing up on this screen.
Where's
That's
enable?
interesting.
Hit the second button.
Oh, the second dot.
Yeah, second dot.
Yeah, he's gotta hit the drive up there. Right down here.
Oh,
No,
not on his
I don't see that here.
oh.
I got two different screens, so I broke something.
Just
Um,
hit E.
So as we talk about breaking things, I've been at the Mag Lab for 20 years. Oh, look at that. Of course, naturally. Thank you. And the first thing I want to do is say a couple of thank yous because I did not get here on my own. I had a lot of help to do so. And the first group I wanted to thank was TSS, of course. Thank you for thinking outside the box. I believe from everything I've seen, I'm the first non-scientist to get this award. I'm very proud of that. And I wanted to say thank you for thinking of the science educators in our community. Secondly, I want to thank everyone at the Mag Lab. Dr. Green is here, my boss. A number of you are here from the Mag Lab. Thank you. The Mag Lab has been very supportive of the educational initiatives, and I can only succeed because of the support that they give me. So thank you. Also thank you to my professors, George, and all of the other people in my networks that have assisted and informed me and educated me and allowed me to grow under their tutelage. Of course, I want to thank my family. Are we on my family now? Okay, yeah. My wife, who is a super nerd like me in science and in education, so we can go and nerd out at home. My two little nerds and geeks, Carolina and Daniel, who are growing into their nerddom. She's starting to get into Harry Potter now, so it's there, it's growing. And then many years ago, my mom got me a book called The Dinosaur Dictionary that I carried around with me until the spine broke and pages were falling out of it, and that ignited a spark that led to many other things, space science and physics and earth and all of that. And my daughter's got her own dinosaur dictionary now. I saw her clap when I said that name. My grandmother, who would pick me up after school and take care of me so that I could go to all those after school clubs. And of course to my grandfather, an engineer, el ingeniero Ricardo Marín. Gracias por toda la ciencia que me diste y todos los regalos que me diste a mí. So thank him as well. And then finally the students. They are my product, they are the outcome, they are what I put into the world, and they've got some amazing things to share. I don't get to produce scientific research, but I get to watch them do that. And that is the best thing ever. And I know there's at least one of them here. I see you, Julian. But is there another student here? Oh, okay. Hey, Sophia. Okay, so I got two of my students here, and they are amazing. And I know Julian's still in high school, and Sophia, you're off to college, and I got both of your slides in here. So we're going to talk about that in a second. So my full name, Carlos Ricardo Villamarin. That is who I am. But to really know this story, I want you to really know who I am. So first off, I'm a Mag Lab educator. I've been at the Mag Lab for 20 years. My entire career has been at the Magnet Lab, and I've been educating students ever since I started there. I'm a husband. I'm a father of two. That's my beautiful family up there. I am an FSU grad twice, as Carrie mentioned. Both of my degrees came from FSU, and they're both in science ed. I am Nicaraguan, born in Managua, Nicaragua, grew up in Miami, but 100% Nicaraguan. And I like blue and orange, which is very difficult in Tallahassee, not because of that other school, but because I grew up with the Mets, so I also know suffering. But also, I'm a science enthusiast. I've always loved science, all sorts of science. We're a huge Disney family. Whenever we have an excuse to go to Orlando, we will, and we will stop, and we will spend even an hour at Disney World is better than no hours at all. And I'm a Transformers collector. That is my nerddom, that is my geekdom, that is where I fall in. And I would need you to really understand. So, since they mentioned it, this is my office. I grew up going to air shows in Miami and seeing the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels, and so I got to see all that. And as soon as I found out that there was a transformer robot that turned into a jet and a robot, I was hooked. And so this is Starscream. He's my favorite transformer. And these are my Starscreams. I have more than 60. I tried to count the other day, but I lost count. And any one of my students will tell me that, yes, I love Transformers. That is a thing. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about what I've done. And I was hired in 2002 at the Magnet Lab. I was initially the K-12 outreach coordinator. Since then, I've grown to become the director of K-12 education programs at the Magnet Lab. And this has allowed me to network with a bunch of other groups in my field, which I enjoy and I am proud of. Some of these groups here, let me point out to you. Step Up is a APS and NSF funded organization that strives to get more women into undergraduate physics, as well as more minorities and underrepresented minorities as well. We have BLAST, and our BLAST president is here. Hey, Susan. That's the Big Bend Leon Association for Science Teaching. We have Sci Girls, which of course is to keep more women in science and start growing that at an early age. Middle school is where we focus. We have the Florida Association of Science Teachers, of which I've been a member for almost 20 years, and now I'm an area director, so I oversee from Panama City out to Madison County. That's my area. And of course, NSTA. I've been presenting at NSTA nearly every year since 2006. And what I do at the Mag Lab, I do Mag Lab outreach. K-12 outreach is my home. That's my favorite thing to do. And I get to go out and go to classrooms and do science and shock kids, literally shock kids, which is always a lot of fun, but just get them to go, wow, and just leave them after an hour a little bit more interested in science than they were when I walked into that room. I promised somebody put a picture of me with my long hair, so there's a picture of me with my long hair on a field trip here at the lab. So we bring here, at the lab, we bring students to the lab, we get to show them some science, they get to do some hands-on stuff, and then we show them, hey, here are our magnets after you've created your own. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and we did some math over the last week, and I've reached about 120,000 students over that time. Yeah, it's a good number, right? It's going to keep going up too. Last month, I was able to do a virtual field trip to a class in Peterson, Alaska, which means that I have literally reached across the country. I've been able to do classrooms in New York, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, California, Nebraska, New Mexico. Those are all the states I can think of off the top of my head, but I know there are so many more as well. So here's some more pictures of K-12 outreach. Here's a field trip at the lab, a group that came for a visit. What do we have here? This is actually my wife's classroom doing an engineering activity with paper and seeing just how strong those structures that they made out of paper were going to be. And this is what virtual outreach looks like. That's me being me on screen. And I believe that's a class actually in Orlando, Florida. But I get to do community outreach too. And who doesn't like playing with liquid nitrogen, right? So I get to take liquid nitrogen out and show off some cool stuff and hopefully make some ice cream and get the kids interested in low temperature stuff. And community outreach. This is actually a BLAST event here where we had tables. I believe this was our trick-or-treat science activity. Teachers would come in and trick-or-treat at each table and get an activity that they could take with them at the end of the day. And of course, one of my other favorite things, Halloween. And so we get to do, and it's been a couple of years since we've been able to do that, but hopefully in the future we'll have our Halloween science activity. I'll get to dress up again, and we'll have a lot of fun again. One of my other favorite programs is the middle school mentorship program. And in our middle school mentorship program, we bring in students, and I've seen a lot of high school internships, and we've got a high school externship program at the lab as well. But this is one of the only middle school research programs that I've seen in the country. And I remember talking to someone at Brookhaven National Lab, and they were talking about their program. I said, well, I've got a middle school program, and they looked at me like I had four heads. But these middle school students are incredibly talented. They come in, and they get to do research with the scientists. They get to handle cryogenics. They do all the same safety training that the Mag Lab staff has to do. So they are certified to handle liquid nitrogen. They're able to work with a lot of the machines. They get to go into the clean room in geochemistry. They get to do these experiences that they normally wouldn't get a chance to do. I took over this program in 2003. It was then a partnership with Leon County's ARC. I don't know if anybody remembers the ARC. Yay, look at that. The Academic Resource Center, is that right? Okay. It then grew to be a partnership with the School of Arts and Sciences, and we have now opened it county-wide. And a few years ago, we had a student from outside the county participate. We've had 19 groups of students come through, 303 total students, that's an exact number, we're able to do that. And this is not an exact number, about 15 middle schools, like I said, from Leon County and the surrounding area. We had one student from Gadsden County participate, and she was amazing. I'm glad I took her. So let's show off some middle school mentorship stuff. Here are some of our cohorts here. This is one of our first groups here. This, I believe, was about 2011, 2012. This is 2016. I love this group. There are so many stars in this group. And I hate this picture of me, so don't look at me. But this is important because this is our first group of the county-wide program. So this is the first year where we took students from all of the middle schools across the county. Then we've got our Mag Lab summer camps, and these are fascinating too. We have Sci Girls, we have our Camp Tesla, and we have our Sci Girls Code, and I was able to get the pictures in the right spot. So Sci Girls, Tesla, Code. Tesla's in all caps, because we were able to, and I give full credit to Kristen Roberts, to be able to come up with Tesla to stand for Teaching Engineering Science in a Laboratory Atmosphere, and so we're able to make that work, and I love it. So the Mag Lab summer camps, we've got Sci Girls, which started in 2006. That was one of the first ones, and Dr. Hughes, you were one of the very first campers, I believe. I'm sorry, counselors. Camper, absolutely. 2011, we started Camp Tesla, which is our co-ed camp, and in 2017, we started our Sci Girls Coding Camp. I did the math. I know exactly how many campers we've had come through, but more impressively, this summer we will have our 1,000th summer camper at the Mag Lab, and I'm really pumped up by that. I'm going to pick someone at random and say that they're the 1,000th one.
Pick strategically.
Yes. Okay, so this is what I was most excited about. What the students are saying, what the feedback is. And I got a lot of students that I reached out to, and I was like, hey, tell me what you remember. What did we do? How did we help you? And I got so many responses, I wasn't able to fit them all in. I've got you too, so you're okay. So I want to start with, we have Natasha up there. Natasha sent me an email a couple of months ago. It was during last summer, actually. And she goes, I don't know if you remember me, but I was part of the SAS middle school group that used to come to the Mag Lab way back in the day. Make me feel old. I'm currently a PhD candidate working on antibiotic resistance, so mostly microbiology, but I recently had to send some samples off for some electron microscopy. And I remember saying to my major professor, the last time I had to do anything with an electron microscope was in middle school. The look on her face was priceless. I love the fact that she's able to go, yeah, oh yeah, that complicated machine, I haven't used that since middle school. But it's just amazing to say that. And I was able to find a picture of her using the electron microscope with Bob Goddard, who ironically retired today. So there's that story coming full circle. Now we've got Monty McKinney. She started out with Tesla in 2011, did Sci Girls in 2011 and 2012. Graduated from Spelman College in 2021, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, BS in Mathematics, currently enrolled in the Molecular Cells and Organisms PhD program at Harvard University. What I learned from working with Mr. Carlos, and she will always call me Mr. Carlos, even after I've asked her not to. She will always call me Mr. Carlos. What I've learned from working with Mr. Carlos at the Mag Lab, the importance of sharing scientific knowledge with the community, and by extension, being able to communicate science to different audiences, with a particular focus on preparing the next generation of scientists, things I'm still passionate about today. That's what she wrote to me in an email last week. This is what she wrote on her volunteering form in high school. From my many experiences at the Mag Lab, I was able to discover more about all the different careers and fields I could go into one day as a scientist. I also gained a more in-depth perspective on what being a scientist is all about. It's more than just doing research in a lab and getting paid for it. It's having the responsibility of taking what you learn and sharing it with others, especially those of the younger generation, so that everyone will be able to collectively use the knowledge shared for the betterment of humanity. That's what she wrote in high school. I promise you this, Dr. McKinney will be in front of this group in the next 10 years because her undergraduate honors thesis was social insect behavior, and I think that's fascinating. So, Carrie, we'll reach out to, okay, we'll get her here.
Thank you.
Marisa McNulty sent me a novel, and I had to cut it down, but there are so many good things. If you look up here, Marisa's on the left. This is Madeline Fayok, another one of our students who, Madeline's studying to become a nurse right now at FSU. Marisa is not at FSU, but she says, in elementary school, I remember not really enjoying science. My parents recall me going so far as to say I hated science. However, I was not really introduced to many science concepts until the 5th grade. At that time, I was given the opportunity to attend Camp Tesla and Sci Girls. During these camps, I was introduced to many other disciplines of science. Because of you, I was able to find a joy for science. Your participation in building these camps allowed me to find subfields which I wanted to continue studying, even though I could not do so at my school. Outside of camp, she had the joy of volunteering at Mag Lab Open House. We always invite them to come back. And her time volunteering with Sci Girls sparked my interest in working with a younger age group in my future career. She says, besides the academic side, you made my journey more enjoyable because of how you treated each student. You showed up one day at my middle school for an activity and remembered me from camps. Additionally, you treated each of us with kindness and ensured we were truly enjoying our time. Overall, you have greatly helped me on my journey. I'm now a biochemistry major in college, which elementary school Marisa would never have imagined doing. I'm also serving on the ACDC board, that's our youth advisory board. We came up with a good name. And look forward to our meetings each month. You're a great example for the youth, and your passion for science education is amazing. You always encourage students to dream big and help them achieve their goals. So that's Marisa. Marisa came back and volunteered a number of years in Sci Girls, as did Blake Thacker. This is Blake and I in the top of the Tallahassee Museum's Tree to Tree canopies when he came back as a counselor. So he did Tesla for 1 year, he did middle school mentorship the next year, and then I think every summer of his high school career he spent with us at the Mag Lab volunteering for these camps. He's currently a third-year student at UF studying computer science, National Merit Scholar, Honors Peer Instructor, Undergraduate Teaching Assistant, Honors Luminary, Engineering Ambassador. He says, Carlos has been extremely influential for me. I met Carlos when I was fresh out of elementary school, and from day one, his passion for all things STEM education had a huge impression on me. He goes, without Carlos, I would have never realized my passion for teaching. Decided to become a college professor someday, so there's our junior professor right over there. Become comfortable with being in a highly academic environment like the Mag Lab, which was a big barrier for me since labs are often overwhelmingly complex, and learned how to communicate with people of all backgrounds about STEM concepts. Now, this on its own, everything he wrote there made me teary-eyed a little bit. And then he added one more and says, became the man I am today, and I'm like, no. And I miss Blake, and he's a great kid. I see him during our youth groups too, so. Sandhya and Surbi Kumar, my twins. And I mean that because we have the same birthday, maybe a few years apart, but the same birthday. Since our first Mag Lab, Carlos has been nothing but supportive of our journey to attaining a career in the sciences. He's not only one of our favorite counselors and mentors, but one of the greatest supporters of our independent research. So let me fast forward a bit, because this is them in high school, this picture that you see here. And this device here is something that they created, which is called a wetness perception monitor. And what they were doing is they were doing a project on spatial hyperacuity and human wetness perception. This would not have been possible without Carlos's help. When we were stuck coming up with ideas for our project, he introduced us to one of his colleagues. It was Dr. Kaya Wei, if you know Kaya, who thought he could help, who he thought could help us. He also arranged for us to test the device at the Mag Lab and provided suggestions for further improvement that made the procedure safer and more efficient for further testing. Thanks to Carlos, I love this part, we were able to publish our data in a peer-reviewed journal, where he is gratefully acknowledged, and thereby making our first real contribution to science. Between the girls and I, we have one published paper. They are truly amazing, and here they are in our Sci Girls Coding Camp, working with some other students. Sofia Umanya. Hi, Sofia. Sophia's back there. Sci Girls is why I'm going into STEM. That's the first thing she wrote to me. A Disney Imagineer came and talked to my Sci Girls camp about her job in engineering. That moment in Sci Girls changed my life. I actually wrote my whole college essay about it. I'm going to fast forward. How'd that college essay work out?
Very great.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Georgia Tech.
Is that your dream school?
It sure is.
Thank you. So, Sophia will be at Georgia Tech next year, her dream school. And what she wrote is, I have stayed connected with the Mag Lab ever since. Carlos's kindness, passion for teaching, and radiant personality changed my life. Thank you. I will be attending Georgia Tech next year to study industrial engineering, and I could not have made it there without Carlos and the Mag Lab. Well done, Sophia. And look at these great pictures I pulled out of you. I had to dig for those, but I found them. Akash. Akash Bhatt did our middle school mentorship in 2016. His brother did it, his brother Sagar did it in 2020. And Akash was also a high school extern in 2016 to 2017. Carlos was responsible for helping me find my passion for science when I just started to consider what I wanted to be when I grow up. Akash did a project with his Mag Lab, this is his middle school mentorship, with Hans van Tol, doing, simulating techniques for ferrofluids to be used to kill diseases and deliver drugs inside the human body using magnetic fields. No big deal. In Akash's words, this experience showed me that there is more to the medicine than just knowing human anatomy. Akash participated in the Mag Lab externship program, where he worked as a programming intern on a program to visualize the connection between different sets of biological data. He writes, Carlos was always excited when I had good news during the middle school mentorship, and always encouraged me to follow through on my ideas while I was in the program. Carlos is great at relating with students and making the scientific field seem less intimidating and more fun, like it should be. And I think we all agree it should be. The last thing he wrote, and I promise you I didn't prompt him to write this, I also appreciate his love for Transformers. I do miss Akash. He is at Rice University now. I'm not saying I got him in, but I did write his recommendation letter. Do we have Shemuel up there? Shemuel, where is he? He is right here. The program was a large factor. The program was a large factor in determining my academic future and setting new goals for myself, such as one day offering exposure to the various STEM fields, and even help diversify those studies. Mr. Carlos inspires me because he does just that. I and countless others are proof. Thanks to him and the Mag Lab community, I wish to one day accomplish my goals and much more. So that was Shemuel. He's at FSU right now studying. And Julian, you get to be last because you're the most recent. You're at FSUS, and you're a freshman now in high school, right? I love this picture of us. I may need this framed. Okay. In 28, these are Julian's words. In 2018, I was accepted to do a mentorship at the Mag Lab. Carlos Villa was the director of the mentorship and welcomed me. I was also given the opportunity to partake in Mag Lab Summer Camp Tesla. Throughout the years, Mr. Villa and I have become great friends. True story. His kindness and compassion towards others make him a special person. He has shared his interest of science with me and helped me find my passion in it. He cares about the future generation. Well, I'll go into too far. He cares about the future generation of scientists deeply and encourages students to explore more into the field. I'm very glad to see Mr. Villa receiving recognition for his work. Thank you, Julian. So that's just some of the students. And like I said, I got too much. I couldn't fit it all in, or else we would be here all night. And I like you all, but we got to go home. So the question is always like, what's ahead? What's coming next? We've got Sci Girls and Tesla returning to in-person this summer at the Mag Lab. We had a virtual program last year. 2 years ago, we had a virtual interactive science exploration called the Science Exploration Series. But I'm going to keep pushing ahead with all of our programs that we currently have, continue to improve the number of minorities and women in science, add diversity. And when I say underrepresented minorities, I'm speaking of Hispanic, African American, Asian Pacific Islander, indigenous peoples, but also our LGBTQ community as well. They all need more representation in science. So before I ask questions, the last thing I want to say to you before I answer your questions is something I say to all of my students, and Roxanne knows this is coming already because she heard me say it all summer of 2020, and that's to stay nerdy, stay geeky, and stay true to who you are. Be kind to others because science is an activity for everyone. And that's how I signed off my summer programs. So with that, are there any questions? I snuck in one more Star Stream. All right, go ahead. Sophia, Julian, please. And they are amazing, and what I love is being able to see them and say, hey, Sophia, how's Georgia Tech? Julian, and I see Julian way too much because my kids are at the same school, but Julian, how you doing? And then your sister did the summer camp last year. Okay, so we'll be seeing more of her too. Excellent. So thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
How do you find your activities?
So one of my favorite things to go to, my favorite conference is National Science Teachers Association, NSTA. I try and throw myself into as many sessions as I can and steal ideas from other teachers. And all the teachers in the room will say, oh yeah, we steal from teachers all the I see the nodding. There are some times when what I want to do just doesn't exist, and then I've just got to make the activity myself. And I'm fortunate I'm mostly able to do that.
So your activities today are very different than they were 20 years ago.
Yes, they have evolved drastically. I told you when I started doing the electromagnet activity, which is our most popular. We go out to the schools, the kids make electromagnets, and then they try and pick up as many paper clips as possible. Now I challenge them, instead of picking up as much as they can and making the strongest possible electromagnet, I say, nice electromagnet, I want you to pick up just 5 paper clips. And now they've got to weaken the field. They've got to take off coils. They've got to hit the core. They've got to find a way to take that strong magnet that they just made and now control the strength and the magnetic field. So it really challenges them, and that's something I didn't pick up till probably about 10 years ago. Yes, Dr. Green?
So, yes, Mr. If this is the only middle school, and this is obviously enormously successful, are you being contacted by other middle schools or other laboratories about possibly helping them set something like this up?
I've had a lot of middle schools in our area reach out and make sure that they are involved. In every school that shows interest, I make sure that they get at least one student into the program. But I haven't heard back from other labs. I've only presented about the middle school mentorship at one conference. It wasn't the same one where I talked to the researcher from Brookhaven. But I've only presented it once, and maybe that's something that I'll look into in the future.
Let's look for a venue.
Let's do that. Anyone else? Wonderful, Carrie.
Oh, man, what an evening.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Carlos and Susan. I am totally inspired by the both of you. I mean, this has really been amazing. It's been an amazing evening. I would say that kids in Tallahassee are so lucky to have you in the community and those lucky enough to seek out and be involved in Whimsy. So lucky. And guys, keep doing what you're doing and let us know, let everybody in here know what we can do to support you, because this is really important work. So thank you all for coming tonight. Have a nice rest of your night. And we'll be doing, hopefully, the 2022 Gold Medal Award ceremony in 2022. So that'll be something fun to look forward to. Oh, yes, Ellen, thank you. And our second Horizon event is coming up April 27th. And Dr. Bruce Means will be presenting, so be sure to check that out. That'll be really, really cool. And he can tell us all about what he's been doing. I don't know how many of you saw the video. I sent a link to members. The National Geographic and Disney Plus video was wow. So can't wait to hear your upcoming talk. So thank you. So thank you all again. If you're not a member of TSS, check us out, tallysci.org. Students are free, and we love members, whether you're paying or not. And you can follow our activities through emails, and we do a little bit of social media. Yes, Kristen, I know we could use a little bit more help with social media. And we could use a little bit more help with our website, but we do the best we can, and we're really grateful for our members and for all science enthusiasts out there. So thank you all again for coming.